You see, before we go to the next concept, let us see 4 5 small theorems on the concepts that we have already covered. uh, Polar, conjugate lines, conjugate points, and inverse points. First thing, we're going to show that, you see, if I have a circle and a point outside, then we're going to show that it's polar with respect to the circle. It's polar, this point's polar with respect to the circle is going to intersect the circle. That's what I'm going to prove. I want you to observe that by shifting the axis or rotating the axis, the distances and angles do not change. So to prove that, I'm going to choose a convenient coordinate system. I will select a coordinate system such that the origin lies at the center of the circle and the x-axis is nothing but line joining CP. Like that, I'm going to choose a coordinate system. So once I choose a coordinate system like this, I want you to observe that the circle equation will be of the form x square plus y square is equal to r square. And the coordinates of P will be like, say, a comma 0. Now let's go for polar of P with respect to the circle. S1 equal to 0 is the polar. So when I write polar, I'll get AX is equal to R square I get. This is polar of P. I want you to observe that this is nothing but x equal to r square by a form, x equal to k form. That means it is parallel to y-axis. The equation is parallel to y-axis. So I want you to observe that CP is nothing but x-axis and this is polar. So always the polar of P, it is perpendicular to CP. That is one point we observe. CP is perpendicular to polar of P. Now, if I call this point of intersection of CP and polar of P as N, I'm going to show that actually, you see, I drew the line such that it is intersecting the circle because I already know that it intersects the circle. But otherwise, you can draw that line anywhere. I don't care. Okay, you can call that point as N. But I am now going to show that Cn is less than R. Distance from center to polar is going to be less than the radius. So if I show that Cn is less than the radius, it means that the line is intersecting the circle. You know that. Cn, that is distance from center to the line. If it is equal to radius, it is tangent. If it is more than radius, it is disjoint from the circle. If it is less than radius, then it is intersecting the circle. So here I am going to show that Cn is less than R. Now observe that its equation is x equal to r square by a means the coordinates of n will be r square by a comma 0. R square by a comma 0. Therefore, Cn, C being the origin here, Cn is nothing but r square by a. And I initially I told you that the point P lies outside the circle. So Cp, which is nothing but mod a. Okay, for that matter, Cn will be mod of r square by a. Cp is mod a. Now, as point lies outside the circle, Cp, distance from center to the point, must be greater than the radius. So it means that 1 by r is greater than 1 by mod a, or 1 by mod a is less than 1 by r. So using this fact here, I get this is less than r square. I don't need mod, r square I can write outside. 1 by mod A is less than 1 by R. So I want you to observe that cancelling R and R, it is strictly less than. I can write here Cn is less than the radius. Cn is less than R I got. Cn is less than R means the polar is intersecting the circle. So if the point P lies outside the circle, we proved that the polar will intersect the circle. Similarly, we can prove that if the point lies inside the circle, then the polar is away from the circle. If the point lies inside the circle, then the polar will be disjoint from the circle. This is going to be polar of P. Okay? So the moral of the story is, if the point lies outside the circle, then the polar will intersect the circle. If the point lies inside the circle, then the polar will be disjoint from the circle. And we already know that if the point lies on the circle, the polar will match with the tangent, because if the point is x1 comma y1, both tangent equation is s1 equal to 0, polar equation is also s1 equal to 0. So when the point lies on the circle, it will match with the tangent there. And also incidentally we observed one more point here. What we observed, that the polar of a point is always perpendicular to the line joining center and the point. Center and the point. So CP is perpendicular to polar of P. Okay. So these 2 points we observe and they are useful while doing problems. First thing, if center is there, point is there, point is outside, polar intersects it. And not only that, CP is perpendicular to this line, and circle is there, point is there. This is center, this is point. Then the polar is disjoint from the circle, and moreover CP will be perpendicular to the polar. Okay, this is what we have observed. Now if we know that if the point lies on the circle, then it matches with the tangent, and if you join C and P, obviously it is perpendicular to the tangent, that means it is perpendicular to polar. Therefore CP is perpendicular to polar, polar of P in all the cases. Okay, that is one thing. The second thing we observed is, point lies outside, polar intersects, point lies inside, polar disjoint, point lies on, polar matches with the tangent. Now one more interesting point to observe in this story is, what is CP we got here? CP is equal to, we calculated already in this, you see here CP is mod A. CP is equal to mod A. And what is Cn? Cn is equal to, what is Cn? Where did we write? Cn we wrote somewhere. Here we wrote Cn. We got Cn is equal to R square by mod A. So what is the product of these two? Cp into Cn is equal to R square. Remember this story? If you have a circle, 2 points, you see here, we have a circle is there, center C. If you can find 2 points P, and earlier we called Q, here we called N, 2 points P and N, such that the 3 points are collinear and P and N lie to the same side of C, and such that Cp into Cn is equal to R square. Then what did we say? We called P and N as inverse points. So this gives you another point also. What is the point it gives you? If you have a point P and a circle is there, and if you want the inverse point of P with respect to this circle, then it is nothing but the point of intersection of CP and the polar of P. This is polar of P, we know. So this inverse point of P is nothing but CP, the point of intersection of the line CP and the polar of P. So let me write one time all the points that we have discussed. The first point, you see, we have first of all circle having center C. It is there. A point P is there other than C. We know that while talking about polar and all that, we don't want P to match with the center of the circle. It can be any other point in the plane. So, what can we say now? If P lies inside the circle, then polar of P is disjoint from the circle. In this only, let me write two more points. If P lies outside the circle, then polar of P intersects the circle. And if P lies on the circle, then polar of P coincides with the tangent at P. Okay? It is only to give you an idea about how or where the polar of a point comes. Okay? Now, two very useful points that we have observed, which are, I'm saying useful because we are going to use them while doing problems. Okay? The points are CP is perpendicular to polar of P. And the other point is to find inverse point of P with respect to a circle C. Circle C means, I told you, center is also C. With respect to a circle, if you want to be more precise, right, having center as C, which one will give us the inverse point? Go for the point of intersection of CP and the polar of P. Now let us see two simple theorems on conjugate points and conjugate lines. Remember, conjugate lines means, you see, I have a circle. Now two lines are there, L1 and L2. I call these two lines as conjugate lines with respect to the circle having center as C if the pole of L1 lies on L2 and the pole of L2 lies on L1. Okay, but now we are going to prove that if the this is theorem, if the pole of L1 lies on L2, then automatically the pole of L2 is going to lie on L1. Okay, so that is what we are going to prove now. So once we prove this theorem, next time if we have to show that two lines are conjugate, it is enough if we show that pole of one of them lies on the other. So this is the theorem we are going to prove. This is the theorem. If the pole of a line L1 with respect to a circle C lies on a line L2, then the pole of L2 with respect to C lies on L1. That's what we are going to prove. Okay, so proof. Now let us first find the poles of L1 and L2 with respect to the circle C. Suppose we found, okay, let P comma Q be the poles of L1 and L2 with respect to the circle C. We write more precisely. You assume that P is x1 y1 and Q is x2 y2 and C is nothing but s equal to 0. Okay, so observe that P is pole of L1. So for P, L1 is nothing but polar. Therefore, equation of L1 is nothing but S1 equal to 0. Similarly, for Q, L2 is polar because for L2, Q is the pole. Therefore, equation to L2 is nothing but S2 equal to 0. And now, the first part of the theorem says that, the hypothesis of the theorem says that the pole of L1 lies on L2. What does it mean? What is pole of L1? x1, y1. Lies on L2. What is L2? S2 equal to 0. So it satisfies. You substitute in this x1, y1, you will get S12 equal to 0. So we have this. Keep it aside. Now what should we prove? When the pole of L1, that is P, lies on L2, we have to prove that the pole of L2, which is Q, lies on L1. So let us see whether it lies or not. If it lies, then Q has to satisfy equation of L1. What is equation of L1? S1 equal to 0. Now substitute and see whether it satisfies. What happens if I put Q in S1? I will get S12. But what do you know about S12? 0. Satisfied. Therefore, the theorem is proved. So, with the help of this, you see, once again I tell you, the definition of conjugate lines is, I have two lines, L1 and L2. If the pole of L1 lies on L2 and the pole of L2 lies on L1, then we call them as conjugate lines. But now the theorem is telling us that it is enough if you do only one way. Because the theorem says that if the pole of L1 lies on L2, then we proved that then the pole of L2 automatically lies on L1. So next time if we want to prove that two lines are conjugate, it is enough if we show either the pole of L1 lies on L2 or the pole of L2 lies on L1. Now we are going to give a similar statement for conjugate points also. Let us once again recollect the definition of conjugate points. Say I have a circle C. Okay. Now 2 points P and Q. When do you call these 2 points as conjugate points? If the polar of P with respect to the circle C passes through Q and the polar of Q with respect to the circle C passes through P, then we call those two as conjugate points. Now we are going to prove a theorem that if the polar of P passes through Q, then the polar of Q will automatically pass through P. That is what we are going to prove. So once we prove that, next time to show that 2 points are conjugate points, it is enough if we show that polar of one point passes through the other. Okay, let us first prove the theorem. What is the theorem? The polar of a point P with respect to a circle C passes through a point Q if, okay, then the polar of Q passes through P. See how simple the proof is. Proof. Suppose the circle is S equal to 0. P x1 comma y1 and Q x2 comma y2. Now the polar of P is passing through Q. What is polar of P? S1 equal to 0. It is passing through Q. That means it satisfies. It means substituting you will get S12 and it becomes 0. Keep it aside. Now what should we prove? The polar of Q passes through P. Let us see whether it happens or not. What is polar of Q? S2 equal to 0. Now what should you prove? Whether it satisfies the point P. That is what we are going to see. Now substitute. What do you get? Substituting in this, you will get S12. What should you prove? If it passes through, you have to prove this is equal to 0. Yeah, it is 0 because we already have it. Therefore, we proved the theorem. If the polar of P passes through Q, then the polar of Q passes through P. Okay? Let us see one small result. We are going to find the pole of Lx plus My plus n equal to 0 with respect to the circle x square plus y square is equal to r square. Observe carefully, it is not the general circle I am taking. I am taking the circle having center at the origin. Okay, so if you are going to by heart ultimately the pole as a formula, you should remember that it is only for this circle but not for the general circle. Only in that case you can apply it as a formula. Okay, let's find the pole. I told you, we simply employ technique 1. I don't know the pole, let the pole be x1, y1. Let the pole be x1 comma y1. So this is its pole, means for this point this is polar. Now we know polar is nothing but S1 equal to 0. So if I write polar of this point with respect to this circle, I'll get equation as S1 equal to 0, that is xx1 plus yy1 equal to r square I get. This is polar of this point and this is also polar of the same point. That means these two equations represent the same line. Corresponding coefficients are in proportion. So I get x1 by L is equal to y1 by m is equal to r square by minus n. Or from this I have x1 comma y1 is equal to, from this what is x1? Minus lr square by n. And from this y1 is nothing but minus mr square by n. Mr square by n. You got your pole. Okay, Some people by heart this as a formula. It is up to you. So the statement goes like this. Pole of Lx plus my plus n equal to 0 with respect to x square plus y square equal to r square is minus lr square by n comma minus mr square by n. We by heart this as a formula. Now we are going to see one more small theorem, last theorem on this concept. Condition for two lines to be conjugate. Condition for the lines L1x plus M1y plus N1 equal to 0 and L2x plus M2y plus N2 equal to 0 to be conjugate with respect to the circle x square plus y square is equal to r square. So once again I want you to observe that the circle having center at the origin. For that we are giving the condition. Okay. Now to derive the condition, let's remember the definition of conjugate lines. The pole of this one lies on this is enough. Okay, because we proved the theorem, then automatically pole of second one is going to lie on the first one. So let us first find its pole. What is its pole? Just now we proved here. So I can directly write its pole now. Its pole is nothing but pole of the first one minus L1 r square by n1 comma minus m1 r square by n1, that is pole. Now for the lines to be conjugate, we want pole of this to lie on this. That means this should lie on this one. Substitute in it. Substituting, what do I get? I'll get L2 into minus L1 r square by n1 plus M2 into minus M1 r square by n1. For fun I write is equal to minus n2. Now take LCM. Send denominator to the right hand side, cancel minus throughout. You see that you are getting ultimately r square into L1 L2 plus M1 M2 equal to N1 N2. This is the condition for these two lines to be conjugate with respect to this circle, not for s equal to 0. This you can remember this as a formula. Okay. Now you can complete the solved examples and exercise 4 using this concept. Okay, let us do this problem. You see, in this problem I am going to employ a technique, and it is a very useful technique. So I am going to call this technique as technique 2. Technique 1 you already know. Now we are going to discuss technique 2 here. Okay. So when do we talk about this technique 2? You see here in the problem, he is talking about locus of P. What is P? You see, you have a curve. I don't care what the curve is. In this case, it is circle. See, through P, we are drawing two tangents. Now, you are asked to find locus of P. What is P here? It is point of intersection of tangents. Its locus you want. And observe that theta 1 and theta 2 are inclinations he gave. That means we know that tan theta 1 and tan theta 2 are slopes. So in here, this condition it says that if I call the slopes as m1 and m2, tan theta 1 slope of one tangent, tan theta 2 slope of another tangent. So you can see that cot theta 1 means 1 by tan theta 1 plus 1 by tan theta 2 is equal to k. So observe that in this problem you have to find the locus of P. What is P? It is the point of intersection of tangents. Under what condition you have to find? When he has given a condition in terms of the slopes. So, whenever he is going to ask us for the locus of the point of intersection of tangents, and if he gives a condition in terms of the slopes, then we think of technique 2, whatever the technique I am going to tell you. Understood? When we look for technique 2, understood? We look for technique 2 when we have to find the point of intersection, locus of the point of intersection of tangents, given a condition in terms of the slopes of those tangents. Let us see the technique. Suppose the slope is m. You see, you have to find locus of P only. Let me call P as x1 comma y1. Because I assumed slope to be m, and point x1 y1 I can write line equation. So the line equation is y minus y1 is equal to m into x minus x1, or putting it in the form y equal to mx plus c, I have y is equal to mx plus y1 minus mx1 I get. Now this is a tangent to the circle. So the condition is nothing but c square is equal to a square into 1 plus m square is the condition. C square equal to a square into 1 plus m square. That is the condition for y equal to mx plus c to be tangent. Remember? So here c is this. So applying the condition I get c square is equal to a square into 1 plus m square. So what do you get from this? Writing it as a quadratic in m, I have it as m square into x1 square minus a square minus 2x1 y1 m plus y1 square minus a square equal to 0 I get. Now observe that m is slope of tangent passing through P. How many such tangents are there? 2 are there. So if the slopes are m1 and m2, then they must satisfy this equation. So its roots are nothing but m1 and m2. Now what is m1 plus m2 from this? It is 2x1 y1 by x1 square minus a square. And what is m1 m2? y1 square minus a square by x1 square minus a square. And now with the help of these relations we are going to find the locus. You see, he gave this condition. This condition is given. We are going to substitute these values in that condition. The given condition, taking LCM, I get it as m1 plus m2 is equal to k times m1 m2. Now I know m1 plus m2 value and m1 m2 value. So m1 plus m2 is nothing but 2x1 y1 by x1 square minus a square is equal to k times m1 m2 is y1 square minus a square by x1 square minus a square. So you can clear the denominators and you have the locus. Therefore locus of x1 comma y1 is nothing but px1 comma y1 is 2xy is equal to k into y square minus a square. You got the locus. Let us see one more small concept. You see, I have a circle. How many pairs of tangents you can draw such that they are perpendicular to each other? See, that is one pair of tangents which are perpendicular to each other. Now if you give me this tangent, I can draw one more tangent here such that these two are perpendicular. Okay, like that you can draw infinitely many pairs of perpendicular tangents. Now the locus of these points of intersection of tangents is called director circle of the given circle. What locus? Locus of the point of intersection of perpendicular tangents to a circle. C is called its director circle. Okay, that's the definition of director circle. It is nothing but locus of the point of intersection of perpendicular tangents. Now we are going to see equation to the director circle of x square plus y square equal to a square. In fact, we are going to show that it is x square plus y square is equal to 2a square. That's what we are going to show. Okay, you see, what should we do? We have a circle. We want the locus of the point of intersection of perpendicular tangents. We want locus of this point. Okay, the circle is x square plus y square is equal to a square. Let me call this point as x1 comma y1. You see, this is a situation where we employ technique 2. When do we employ technique 2? When we have a situation where you need to find the locus of the point of intersection of tangents. Here it is point of intersection of tangents only. But you should give a condition in terms of the slopes. You see, the tangents are perpendicular. That means product of slopes is equal to -1. So I have condition in terms of the slopes. So this is the right situation for me to apply technique 2 here. So what is the technique 2? This is what we do. We assume m as slope of the tangent and write equation to the line first. This slope we assume it as m. We write equation to the line. Line equation is y minus y1 is equal to m into x minus x1. So it is nothing but y is equal to mx plus y1 minus mx1. And now we use the fact that it is tangent to the circle. So the condition is c square is equal to a square into 1 plus m square. Now we write it as a quadratic in m. So expanding the square and bringing everything to one side, I'll get m square into x1 square minus a square minus 2x1 y1 m minus y1 plus y1 square minus a square is equal to 0. Now there are two tangents here. If I call one slope as m1 and one slope as m2, then its roots are nothing but m1 and m2, and from this I have m1 m2 is equal to y1 square minus a square by x1 square minus a square. But he gave the condition m1 m2 is equal to -1. So applying the given condition, you can see that from this is equal to this, cross multiplying and bringing everything one side, I'm going to have it as x1 square plus y1 square minus 2a square equal to 0. So writing the locus, I have it as x square plus y square is equal to 2a square. So that is equation to the director circle of x square plus y square is equal to a square. I want you to observe that its radius is a. The director circle radius is root 2a. So if the radius of a circle is a, then its director circle radius is going to be root 2a. Moreover, observe that its center is, the given circle center is origin, and we got director circle center also as origin. That means a circle and its director circle are concentric, and if the radius of the original circle is a, then its direct circle radius will be root 2a. Okay, so not only I want you to observe these points on direct circle, but also master this technique too, which we employ when we have to find locus of the point of intersection of tangents and given a condition in terms of the slopes to find the locus. Okay.